Yes, everybody, welcome back to Talking Wolves. Welcome back to a brand new match preview on the channel. It's under the lights at Molineux once again this weekend as Everton are coming down to the West Midlands. A team who are very, very close to Wolves in the table, of course, are on much better form at the moment since their changing manager. David Moyes has changed the fortunes for the Toffees. We'll talk about that a little bit more later in the opposition perspective. But as always, guys, be sure to hit the like button. Let's try and smash 200 likes at least on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We have had Vitor Pereira's pre-match press conference this afternoon. We'll give my thoughts ahead of the game as well. But it has been positive from the head coach today. Of course, the main topic of discussion was Matheus Cunha and his suspension last week, but we had some really positive team news as well, which we'll kick off with now. Of course, going into this game without Matheus, we thought, how are Wolves going to line up? How are they going to threaten Everton? Defensively, we have looked a little bit fragile over the last week or so, but a really big boost from Vitor Pereira, because a lot of players have been deemed ready and available tomorrow. Rodrigo Gomez, I mentioned on our last video, I did sort of a midweek update. Since then, we've had news that Emmanuel Agbadou is back in full training and ready to help the team. Gonzalo Benj, who's been out, and to be fair, I'm still undecided 100% on Benj, but I still think we've missed a little bit of something that I think he does bring to the forward line. And I think with Matheus Cunha out, I think Benj is going to be a welcome addition back into the squad. Of course, Rodrigo Gomez as well, who can play as a wing-back or further forward if needed as well. Martial Manetzi and Jean-Ric Bellegarde, both also available after the Bournemouth game. Vitor Pereira had labelled them as doubts for this match, but they are both available. One player there's question marks over is Carlos Forbes. He was out last week with a so-called illness. He has been pictured back in training this week as well. Wolves pictured him on the website. Could he be back part of the squad tomorrow? And the only slight doubt going into the game, other than the obvious players that are already out, is Matt Doherty, who's going to be having a late fitness check as well, potentially ahead of tomorrow's game. So that may help me a little bit with my predicted lineup shortly, which I will go through. But like I said earlier, Matheus Cunha was the topic of discussion. Of course, Vitor Pereira is going to back his star man. Matheus Cunha has apparently apologised. Obviously, it's a little bit too late now, and I think he's going to be missing a crucial number of games for us. He has been charged by the FA. We don't know the full ban as of yet, because that charge by the FA is for his actions after the red card. So I have no doubt it's going to be at least 3 games. Unless Wolves have the best lawyer in the world, which it seems like they almost did around Christmas when he only got that 2-game ban after the Ipswich debacle. You would assume there's going to be a couple more games on that. So it could be anywhere sort of 4 to 5 games, I think, for Matheus, starting from tomorrow, which is, he's going to be a big miss, regardless of whether you like his actions or not. I think Vitor made that pretty clear that Wolves are already outside the bottom 3, mainly because of how good Matheus has been. What I don't like from Cunha at the moment is this whole true fan thing. This week, I've seen it on at least 2 occasions that he's commented or put posts out saying this is for the true fans. Ultimately, a true fan wants what's best for Wolverhampton Wanderers, and a true fan, you know, whatever Matheus did on Saturday against Bournemouth was not what was best for Wolverhampton Wanderers. So I don't like that sort of almost talking down to certain areas of this fan base. Whether you love him, loathe him, not bothered either way. I still think that's a little bit disrespectful from him, but I have no doubt he is going to be a miss for us because he can completely change a game. But what his suspension does do, gives somebody in that forward line a chance to step up and say, look, I want to be the main man now. Or it will allow other players to shine and do their thing a little bit more. I think Matheus, at times, his work rate can lower down a little bit, and you've got players around and doing a little bit more running for him. Jürgen Strand-Larsen is a big example of that. We had a really good conversation on our podcast last Monday, which I think most of that will still be relevant if you've got an hour or so to kill tonight or throughout Saturday if you want to watch that. We had a conversation about Jürgen Strand-Larsen and what he can bring, and his actual percentiles and stats as a forward aren't as bad as people think and probably will suggest, because he has been a little bit of a scapegoat over the last couple of weeks. But I think this is a great chance for him to step up. You know, if he's not 100 miles away from hitting double figures, and if he can do so in his first Premier League season, I think that's a really solid return for Jürgen Strand-Larsen. Of course, you've got other players like Hwang, if he gets the opportunity, who's been so hot and cold in his Wolves career. Had a real hot streak last year. Really, really struggled for the last probably 12 months or so. Benj as well is another player. There's an opportunity there for somebody if they want to take it. Jean-Rick Bellegarde's been a revelation over the last sort of 3 to 4 weeks as well, hasn't he? And there's a massive chance of him. I assume he'll play a little bit more advanced tomorrow as well after winning the Player of the Month award. Let's have a quick look at my predicted team, what I'm thinking for tomorrow. This could be completely wrong. It's so hard to tell, of course, with the players that are back available and fit. I think Jose Sarr's starting goal is a fair shout. Back five. Now, this is an interesting one. Obviously, with Agbadou back, which is a huge, huge plus for Wolves. I think it'll be Aït-Nouri. I think it'll be Nelson Semedo on the right-hand side. And the back three, Totti. It'd be brilliant, I think, to see Agbadou and Giga. I think that back three, Totti, Agbadou and Giga could be a real top back three there for us. And I'd be intrigued to see how they get on if that is the starting back three tomorrow. Midfield two, I think once again, is João Gomez, who is unlucky to obviously have missed out on the Brazil squad. Andre, who is in the Brazil squad. And then a front three, I think Jean-Rick Bellegarde, Strand Larsen. And that last position is up for grabs, to be fair. I would think Benj will probably get the nod just because he seems to have been a preferred player for Vitor Pereira. If he's not completely fit, I think he might go with Pablo Sarabia, but I just don't think there's enough firepower, pace and quality up in that top three if that's the case. So I would say maybe Benj if he's fit. But I could also see a world maybe where Rodrigo Gomez comes straight into there. Or maybe move Ryan Aït-Nouri a little bit more advanced as well. But I'm interested. And I think the news today maybe gives us a little bit more excitement because, like I said, Everton have been in top form. We'll get into the opposition perspective in a little minute. But, you know, David Moyes, I think he's 7 matches unbeaten now in the league. A really good run of form for them. 10 points clear of us, and they're only the place above us. So it is pretty much us and the bottom three in this scrap at the moment. But I think if another win, especially this weekend, and results go our way, Wolves going to be looking in a really nice position. If things go to plan and we beat Everton and again Ipswich lose or drop points, Wolves could be anywhere from sort of 7 or 8 points ahead, which would be very good. So we'll see. I'm hoping for a positive result, but we'll talk now to Benj from the Bullens view. Always great to have him on. We had him on for the reverse fixture as well. A great insight into Everton and what we can expect from the Toffees this weekend and beyond. So then, guys, delighted to be alongside Benj from the Bullens view for today's opposition preview. Benj, good to have you back on, man. I mean, it's changed a lot since we last spoke. It was the El Sakiko last time out. You guys with an emphatic 4-0 win at Goodison, but a lot has changed. And I mean, you guys, it's looking good right now. I can even see on your social media, the positivity just gets higher and higher every time I go on your profile.
No, it definitely does. Look how mad football is after a few months. 3 months down the line, Wolves have got a new manager. Everton have got a new manager. The bounce, the positivity, the feel-good factors back at Everton. I thought we were going to be in for a massive dogfight this season.
Yeah.
David Moyes has come in and sprinkled some magic dust over these players. We're now 7 unbeaten, which is just madness for where we were back at Christmas time. I know when we played you guys, Gary O'Neill was going through an absolute treacherous time, couldn't defend. And obviously Vitor Pereira came in, was linked with the job at Everton many years ago when Frank Lampard came in, but seems to be doing a really good job. Now Wolves find themselves 5 points clear. Everton find themselves 15 points clear. So it's a massive game on Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, for Wolves, it'd be great if we could get 3 points or something, I think, at least from this game. Another couple of tricky fixtures for the other two guys, Leicester and Ipswich, who are involved with us. But, I mean, you guys are only 1 place ahead of us in the league table, 10 points clear of us. I mean, David Moyes has done a fantastic job. What has he changed, Ben? You know, I've seen players such as Beto, who are almost sort of players that haven't got going at Goodison at all of a sudden starting to score some goals. Has he changed much, or is it just the sort of belief and positivity back amongst the squad now?
It's hard to pinpoint exactly what has changed. I know I'm a big stats and metrics kind of guy, and Everton's stats since David Moyes have come into the football club, we are top 4 kilometres ran, sprints, highest pressing. He seems to have installed that confidence for the players again to really push on the front foot. Everton are playing a lot higher. Our fullbacks are playing a hell of a lot higher than they were under Sean Dyche. We've got a centre half now at right back in Jake O'Brien, who I was shocked to see when he first started against Tottenham Hotspur right back, but he's been an absolute revelation. He's 6'6", he's strong, he's powerful. I thought he was going to be targeted, but ultimately he's held his own. David Moyes has just installed that belief back into the players. I think the confidence was shot, the confidence was on the floor, and he's come in and said, look, you're Premier League players, we've got a good squad here at Everton, a bit of depth. So let's try and kick on, get a few results under our belt, and ultimately that's what happened. You nailed it before. The good feeling factor was back at Everton Football Club. I don't know how or what he's done during his training sessions. The away form, we've won 2, drawn 1. We beat Brighton away, we beat Crystal Palace away, and recently drew with Brentford, which we probably should have won. Beto had massive missed chances, and it probably has helped David Moyes. Beto has scored, I think, 6 goals in February, and ultimately finds himself being nominated for Player of the Month. And quite honestly, he deserves it.
Yeah. What was the reaction like when Moyes was first linked? Because I think after that defeat for us against Everton, I still can't believe that Gary O'Neill was given the opportunity to manage at least, I don't know if it was another game or another couple of games. Dyche lasted a little bit longer. Obviously, you would after a 4-0 win. But what was the reaction between yourself and the rest of the Everton fan base? Was it fairly positive towards bringing Moyes in, or was it about sort of a 50-50 split? What was it in your opinion?
It was definitely split. I think there was a lot of people hoping that Sean Dyche could get to the summer. We part ways, get a completely new manager, new direction.
Yeah.
But that was me included. You look at what Bournemouth have achieved down in the South Coast with Iriola. I wanted that kind of model. I wanted that young, upcoming manager to take Everton forward. Sadly, it wasn't to be. And how wrong was I? David Moyes has come in. He seems like a completely rejuvenated character. He's galvanised the fan base with this positivity. People are now looking forward to going the games again. It's mad what a manager appointment can actually do. We talk about these manager bounces. David Moyes knows what it was like to manage Everton Football Club. He'd done it for 11 years previously. He knew the standards. He knew what the fans expected. And Everton fans aren't hard to please. We don't want to see this tiki-taka fancy football. We want to see big tackles, determination. We celebrate corners as if there's a goal. We are an absolute mad fan base, but we just want to see commitment. We want to see effort. And ultimately, that's all we can ask for. And he's kind of installed that. There's a bit more football than what Sean Dyche was playing. We now look to pass it a bit more out from the back, but we do still go long. The return of James Garner's been massive, and Jared Brantwaite finding form again. Arguably, in my eyes, the best young centre-half in English football right now. Maybe I'm a bit biased, but that's how I see it. But it's great, it's good, it's enjoyable going the games. It's going to be a good game again on Saturday, and I'm looking forward to it. Love Molineux, I think it's a fantastic old ground. I'm looking forward to being there on Saturday at 8 o'clock. Well, besides getting my eyebrows singed off most weekends when I go to Molineux with the flames.
The flames.
Excited for it.
Yeah. It's crazy in regards to what managers can see. Just the little things obviously David Moyes would have changed things, or like you said, put O'Brien at right back. We had a similar thing with Semedo and Matt Doherty playing right centre back for us. O'Neill was trying Semedo at centre back, which wasn't working. And first couple of games, Vitor Pereira comes in and plays Matt Doherty at right centre back, and it's not been brilliant every single game, but it certainly worked probably more times than it hasn't worked. What are sort of your expectations going into this game? And I'm sure you and many other Everton fans are sort of much happier that the fact that Matheus Cunha is out suspended as well. I mean, I believe you're 7 unbeaten in the league. You're probably looking very positively going into this game that Everton can probably get all 3 points at Molineux.
Yeah, definitely. I think we should be targeting all 3 points, and that's no disrespect to Wolves. Matheus Cunha being out, what I said on the last time I was on with yourselves, he is a superstar. He's an absolute world-class operator. The thing that lets him down, which I'm sure you've discussed, is his temper and his temperament and how he's sometimes acting. And as a footballing fan, I hate seeing that sort of behaviour at any football club. For someone who's that good, keep your head, and a bit of antics in January, but he signed the contract, and I thought, right, Wolves are going to pull away now. He obviously scored his goal, scored at Anfield, scored that rocket against Bournemouth in the FA Cup, and then lets himself down. I'm going, why are you doing that? Because he could be suspended for a bit. Why? Because it's a second red card. violent conduct, I believe. So, but look, Everton, Wolves are no pushovers. Our record at Molineux of late isn't very good. I think since you came back up to the Premier League, I don't think we've won there. I think Yerry Mina scored in the last minute a few years ago when it was 1-1. We equalised in the 97th minute. I think Richarlison scored 2 on his debut a few years ago when it was 2-2. And I think last year we got absolutely battered 3-0, I believe it was. We were there just around Christmas. And I remember saying, wow, Gary O'Neill's got these going. Wolves look like a solid outfit. And I still don't know what went wrong for Gary O'Neill, but ultimately it did go wrong, and Everton probably found themselves favourites. I do still think Wolves have got a tremendous fullback, Semedo. He's come on. I think probably will be captain for the weekend. Out Nouri's a fantastic player as well, a fullback. Gomez, he's been brilliant. Larson's been in and out of the team. I pinpointed him last time. The issue for me is we need to potentially target the goalkeeper. I think Sarr's come back into your team of late. Very unsure under the set piece. I think at Goodison Park we targeted Star with the corners and the set pieces, and ultimately it paid off. So that's an area that Everton will probably look to expose again. We've now got Charlie Adam being our new set piece coach, which is what on earth a set piece coach does, I don't know. But hopefully we see something on Saturday.
Yeah, that's my concern going into it, because I know under Vitor, defensively, we've seemed to be a little bit better. I think our attacking, I mean, you guys wouldn't have seen it at Goodison Park, but under Gary O'Neill, going forward, we seem to always score goals, but we just conceded a lot more than what we were scoring. Under Vitor, it's almost sort of the opposite now. He shored us up defensively, but we just can't seem to be sort of free-flowing and as threatening as we had been down the other end of the pitch. But going into this game, I pinpointed set pieces as a little bit of a worry, although we've strengthened ourselves defensively from those. I still think the physicality that Everton have got, you could cause us problems. And Sarr, you've sort of probably hit the nail on the head there. You just don't know what version of Jose Sarr you're going to get. A very erratic goalkeeper. In some games, he's fantastic. In other games, I don't know what it is. Maybe an early mistake, and I think he just loses his head, as many footballers do as well. But you mentioned a few players there. I think Andre, João Gomez, Strand Larson. It's a massive opportunity for somebody to step up in the absence of Matheus Cunha, and it's going to be a tricky test. I mean, again, I think this could be quite a lot of people probably look past this fixture, but 8 o'clock on a Saturday as a neutral, I'll be really intrigued by this fixture, because you've got two teams, Everton not so much now, but Wolves still desperate for points, and two teams that I don't know, you just don't know what to expect from them really. Everton could easily come to Molineux and roll us over, and or Wolves could turn up and make it a really interesting battle. I mean, you've been full of praise for David Moyes, Benj, but what do you think the long-term plan and strategy is for him? Because, I mean, it's so hard to say. I mean, within 3 months, the fortunes of both teams and the structure has completely changed. But in your mind, what do you see the long-term future of David Moyes and Everton being?
Well, it's interesting, this game, when you've had me back on, Everton have just announced that the director of football, the old, person, Kevin Felwell, who worked at Wolves, is going to leave the football club at the end of the year. His contract is not going to be renewed. We all know how David Moyes operates. He very rarely gets on with any sort of director of football. He struggled at West Ham with their director of footballs and wanted to have a big say in recruitment. Now, Everton are going through this complete rebuild. I like to call it the rebirth of Everton. We've been in the darkest of tunnels of late, and I mean points deductions, absent owners, unsure if our club's going to survive, close to administration on a number of occasions. Now we've got new owners, the Freaking Group have come in. We've got arguably, in my eyes, again, probably biased, the best new stadium in the Premier League. And next year, when you come up and you go to that ground, you'll go in and go, this is absolutely incredible. And it is. It's amazing. So this is now the rebirth of Everton Football Club. David Moyes, he's got a 2.5-year contract, so 2 years from this summer. Yeah. And a lot of Everton fans are split on this one. Do we go away from the director of football model? Do we go back to how we were with, we are operational CEO? And then David Moyes will then do his recruitment. He buys his players, because he always says any manager lives or dies by their recruitment. And I do agree with that. But I'm under the belief, and I'll probably ask you the same question with Wolves. I like the director of football model. I think football, modern day footballers completely moved on from that side of things. It's so hard to manage, coach, plan your recruitment, speak to agents. It's just too much for managers to do right now. I don't know that how it is at Wolves right now, but I want to see that director of football model still be implemented. So yeah, there's a lot of change. There's a lot of strategy, a lot of philosophy. David Moyes has definitely got money in the bank now with, since he's come to the football club. No one can argue with him at the moment. He is the messiah, or the Moisire that we like to call him. So it's going to be interesting. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we sort of have that structure as well in place, and I don't know. I think it's always worth having it in place because I suppose it takes a little bit of pressure off the manager, or head coach in most cases now when with the recruitment, because it's not nice to say, but there's somebody else to blame, and I think it takes a little bit more pressure off the head coach and the manager. I think next season, if Moyes is doing all the recruitment, everyone's going to be judging him on every single play. If someone's underperforming and they've signed, it's going to be on Moyes. If someone's been played out of position and played rubbish, it's going to be on Moyes. So it's a little bit of a risk. I understand his thinking behind it though, because he almost got full control of that. I do think a lot of the time, director of football depends. I know the West Ham guy was a little bit off, and I think that's why it didn't go to plan with Lopetegui. But a lot of decent directors of football will liaise with the manager anyway, won't they? To say, we've got this player, what do you think? And if the manager says no, they move on to a new target. So it's a shame for Kevin Fell because he did a good job at Wolves. I think George Mendes's influence and impact at the club, and Wolves wanting to go in a different direction, probably sort of steered him away from it. So I'm sure he'll find another decent job elsewhere as well. But Benj, for you now, between now and the end of the season, is it just trying to get as many points as possible and climb up the table a little bit more? I mean, I'm fairly certain you're safe from the drop now. Is it just up, and you're out the FA Cup, unfortunately. It's just trying to get hopefully make some final memories at Goodison and climb up the table a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. I think what people don't realise is each Premier League place is around £2.5 million. So we've had a few fans say, well, now's the time to alternate the squad. We're not going to go down. I'm confident we're not going to go down. I'm very confident that Wolves aren't going to go down either. I think the bottom three are arguably the worst bottom three. I don't know how they've beaten last year, but they are terrible. But Everton need to look upwards. I spoke about standards over on the Bullens View, on a view from the Bullens, and I want Everton now to apply themselves and look out to try and go and win every single game. Try and finish as high as you can. The difference between 16th and 12th is £10 million payments. That can be, with this amortization, PSR issues that are surrounding, that could be £50 million to spend over a 5-year contract extended. That's the difference. You could go and sign a £50 million player with that £10 million in down payments for your PSR calculations. So that's how important and imperative it is to finish as highly as possible. We've got obviously the end of Goodison Park, that old historic ground, the wooden seats, the restricted views. It's going to be sad. It's going to be emotional. It's finally down to single figures now. I think we've got 5 home games left, so it's really starting to hit home that we actually are moving away from Goodison Park. But ultimately, we need to give her the best send off we can. Try and win every single home games and try and pick up points on the road as well. It's going to be an emotional a few weeks now ahead of the finish of the season.
Yeah, and what have you had the chance to visit the new ground yet, or what?
I went to the test event, the under 18s. Yeah. As always, Everton got beat because that's just the Everton. That's just
Wigan
the
or something way. Like that, was it? I think I saw.
We got beat by Wigan under 18s. Yeah, but for those who will probably judge it and say it's a soulless bowl, I've seen some people saying it's like the King Power. Honest to God, I was a bit skeptical. I thought it was too small. I'm a big advocate of saying it needed to be 55, 60,000. When I entered that ground, I was met with the absolute astonishment of how incredible it actually is. Wow. It's the pictures and the videos really, really don't do it justice. It looks bigger than the Emirates, and that's a 60,000 seater stadium. The gradients of the stands are literally. I went to the very back of the south stand, which is our new blue walls, like to say, and it's as if you are still on the pitch. If the gradient's the most steep it can be in European football with health and safety regulations. There's not a bad seat in the house, and I think that it needs to be a bit more personalisation to show that it's Everton's. The best ground I'd been to was Tottenham Hotspur's new ground. I think that's absolutely incredible. But think that's an NFL stadium. I'm not that. I think it's more designed for like that franchise, that NFL, that experience behind. But this Everton football ground is arguably, in my eyes, one of the best. Well, probably the best in the Premier League for a footballing ground. For a day-to-day stadium, you'd say Tottenham all day, but for a footballing built stadium, Everton, Bramley-Moore Docks is by far the best. And next year, when you come up, you'll have to come on our after show podcast and you can tell me what you think, because there'll be a lot of people with humble pie because they'll go, this is actually incredible. It's very, very special. It's going to be unbelievable.
Yeah, fingers crossed. And touch wood, I'm with you. I think we'll stay up and it'll be in a mate. I think that, it'll be a very difficult ticket for a lot of teams visiting Everton next season. It'd be a difficult ticket to get for that. And I think you probably didn't even think about it, but I bet you're so glad that you're not in a relegation battle and worrying about the first season of the new ground being in a different division. I bet you're so happy that Moyes has come in and turned it around, because I think if I was an Everton fan, it'd almost be a sigh of relief, isn't it, that you're definitely going to be having the first season there as a Premier League club.
Well, the best bit of praise I can give David Moyes is I'm finally sleeping 8 hours at night. I was sick and tired for the past 2 years of having sleepless nights and having arguments with people around you, arguments on social media, because people don't understand the effects that relegation battles and worry and anxiety that comes over you, like worried sick about your football club playing. Like I said, imagine us going up down next year and playing, God knows, Luton Town at home. It just doesn't have that same feeling. Everton, like Wolves, in my eyes, are prime nostalgia Premier League football clubs. I remember going to Wolverhampton Wanderers the day they went down when they played Everton, when Leon Osman scored and Carl Court and Henry Kamara.
Really played that game early days.
Yeah, and Henry Kamara scored and Wolves won 2-1, but obviously went down that day, and it was a very sad day. But I've loved Wolves ever since then. That was one of my first away games I ever went to, and I've got a bit of a soft spot for Wolves. I don't want to see them go. I genuinely do believe the bottom three are terrible. Southampton and Leicester were done. The only ones you can look at are potentially Ipswich, but I just cannot see them. Their defence is an absolute shambles. Kieran McKenna's been shown the Premier League out and outright, and he's the 5th or 6th highest paid manager in the league. So it's one of them. If you don't adapt in this league, you get found out very, very quickly. And managers come up and find that out. Vincent Kompany, of course, last year. I think Wolves will be fine. I think there's a chance you'll go on and get a couple of. You probably only need 2 wins and 2 draws, I'd say, from now to the end of the year. But fingers crossed for you.
Fingers crossed. And we've still got, obviously, we've got yourselves, we've got Southampton next the week after. We've still got to play Ipswich and Leicester as well. But like I said, we're 5 points clear, much better goal difference. So pretty much, you could say 2 wins ahead of them as such. But I agree. I think around sort of that 9 or 10 point mark, I think it'd be, it would be massive and probably would sort it for Wolves. Benj, if I had to trouble you for a score prediction ahead of Saturday, sorry to do this to you. What are you thinking?
I was thinking about this before. I think it's going to be 1-1. I think Wolves will go ahead. I think I don't know who will score for Wolves, but I think Wolves will go ahead, and I think Everton will equalise off a set piece in the second half. And I would say James Tarkowski. I've been right on every single goal score for the past 7 for Everton. I've won a lot of money, so if you're a betting man, put Tarkowski.
I think it's a fair bet as well. I would have said before we even started. I think set pieces. I'm sort of worried about with Everton. If you've got so would you O'Brien, Tarkowski, and Branthwaite. That's some serious height in that team, isn't it? And I don't think Wolves can match that. I don't, so.
Yeah, well, Branthwaite's 6'5", O'Brien's 6'6", Tarkowski's 6'1", but seems to win every single header. I don't know how he does it. we have got a physical team. We have got Idrissa Gana Gay's been fantastic of late. James Garner's come back from injury and just slotted straight back in. Our issues are our wingers. They don't. I think they've got. Illiman and Jai's out, which is a massive, massive bonus for Wolves because he is a serious player. But we've got, Jack Harrison, Lindstrom, 0 goals, 0 assists this year between them. And Everton's depth is shocking. We've had 2 backup keepers on the bench for the past 4 weeks. We have got 3 or 4 of the under-21s, which will probably be the same on Saturday. So our squad depth is very, very, very limited. So, if I'm a Wolves fan, I'm going, right, let's try and see out to 60 minutes and see what they've got coming off the bench, because given that 67, 70-minute mark, Everton really, really start to tire, and it's obvious to see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Wolves have struggled a little bit with fitness over the last week. Obviously, had the midweek game last week. Looked really, really tired. 120 minutes in the FA Cup for us on Saturday as well. So it will be interesting to see. And Benj, where can people find you and your content if they wish?
Over on Twitter, A View from the Bullens, the Bullens View, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Patreon if you want to, get rid of some of your £2 a month. But if you don't, then it's some of the free content as well. But no, it's honestly, thank you so much for having me on. You've a great channel. I've met some of your colleagues online now, all very, very top fellas. And, what you're doing for Wolves fans is very, very good. So thanks as always.
I appreciate that massively, mate. I appreciate that. And fingers crossed we'll be talking again next season. I'm sure we will, but yeah, fingers crossed. All the best, man.
Definitely. If you need a ticket, I'll sort it.
Yeah. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Cheers, mate.
So big thanks to Benj once again. It's always a pleasure to talk Wolves, Everton and football with him. I'll make sure to leave a link to the socials and the Bullens View in the description down below. And of course, guys, let me know your thoughts and score predictions going into this game. Fingers crossed it's a positive performance and hopefully a positive result at Molineux tomorrow. I'll let you know my thoughts after the game. We'll have the fans react out at some point on Saturday night or Sunday morning as well. As always, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, guys. Look after yourselves, enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you on the next one.